Hey guys, Gordon here, Cockapunk. You guys all know and love me. This is a video been a long time in coming, but I had to get my air tanks filled to demonstrate a point for this. This is the long-awaited Old School Guns tour for the Smart Parts Impulse. Now this is a gun I never thought I would get on the Old Guns tour because, quite frankly, I never want to own an Impulse in my entire life, and all of these guns that I've done shows on I've owned at one point or another. A lot of times I'll flip them, but some of them I've been keeping. Like I love my Angel, my Tribal, RT Automag, Cocker. Some of the more classics is what I tend to keep around. But the cool thing about this gun is picked it up for extraordinarily cheap. And the other reason that I wanted to buy this gun is because of the regs, or the reg on this gun. Turns out, after I did some research, this Impulse is number 5,541, and Impulses started at 1,000. So this is about the 4500th Impulse ever made, and it's in the original 2001 stock configuration with the manifold mounted MaxFlow. This is straight off a Shocker. It even says Shocker on the bottom of it. Straight off a Shocker. This is a gas-through gadget grip, and then this gun, the Impulse stock never came with an LPR. So it may look very similar to the last gun I did a tour on, which was the Bob Long Defiant, and then the Bushmaster. This gun is about 3 years behind that gun in terms of release date, and it's way behind in terms of technology because it doesn't have an LPR. That being said, it was an extraordinarily popular gun. It has a tray similar to the Bob Long. It works the same way with the stack tube poppet valve gun, but it doesn't have an LPR. Came with this is the first gun with Impulse threads, which are a dual lead, very short thread. Lots of people still like Impulse threads. I have to say, from a functional point of view, they are nice. It came stock with a high-rise feed neck, and this is actually not the stock trigger, nor is it the stock cricket board. This gun all premiered at 2001 for $500, this one, and then you could get a Vision one, which basically just had eyes, for $650. So it's a little bit cheaper even than the Bushmaster and the Defiant. They came out with hundreds, practically, of, at least dozens anyway, of private label versions of this gun with their own milling. They went to a Vert MaxFlow very quickly, instead of the manifold mounted one, because this is literally straight off a Shocker. You can take this and put this right back onto a Shocker. This gun also operates at an even lower pressure than the Bob Long. It operates at about 150 to 160 psi, so it's actually one of the most low pressure poppet valve guns that's ever been made. The valve chamber in here is freaking ridiculously huge. That's why it works. So yeah, this is just an original 2001 blind gun. Now, a couple of things to mention is this gun started off a lot of the things that we saw in Smart Parts guns up till even the Lux still has some of the problems. This gun has notorious first shot drop-off, mostly because the board didn't have anything to counter it, and also because, yeah, mostly because the board didn't have anything to counter it. But the solenoid is also not a very advanced unit either. The biggest problem though with this gun, and the reason why it doesn't even operate stock, is it has a problem with flow inside the gun. See, what happens is the air comes up through here, which, by the way, these are not even real Macroline fittings. The fittings are still 1/8 NPT, but this is a much larger tube than a Macroline, probably to try and market this as the super low pressure gun that they did. Anyway, so first the air comes in through here. This is just an expansion chamber. It also has a barrel plug here, but barrel plugs were quickly made obsolete because you can't tell that I have a barrel plug in here if you saw me at anything farther than 4 feet. So it was quickly, that's one of the reasons why we went to barrel bags so quickly. Anyway, so it goes through the gas-through grip, and then it goes into this tube here. You can see, much like the Shocker that has these gas galleys that run the entire length of the body, the Impulse does too. Now, off of that gas galley are fed two things. One is the path into the solenoid, which actuates the bolt, and then the other actually is the valve chamber. And the entrances into those two things are so close together that what happens is when you fire the gun, the bolt will come forward, it will start to vent the valve chamber, and then the dwell, or the solenoid, switches back and tries to pull the bolt back, but what happened is the valve chamber pressure drops so low that it's trying to pick up air out of the gas galley, and the gas galley pressure is dropping as well. And so when the solenoid switches, there isn't enough air in the gas galley to push the bolt back. And so bone stock, these things frankly just don't work. I can demonstrate the point in a second here, but with paint they tend to work better, but they still don't work that well because they just simply rely on the blowback of the pushing the paintball down the barrel to get the bolt off of the valve seat, or off of the valve pin. And so dry firing, this gun doesn't even dry fire. But with paint, it does shoot. It's not very good though. The most common ways people got around that was putting an LPR on it, or there was an upgrade called the tapeworm, which cost you 25 bucks. So, you know, it's the start of that Smart Parts. You have to put money into your gun to get it to shoot right, even though you just bought the stock gun. The stock gun just doesn't work right. This gun just doesn't work right. Stock. And so that was one of the big problems. Another problem is since these max flows are straight off of shockers, shockers had this problem too, where the pin to push in the pin valve is too long. And so they will vent early and they won't seal properly. So you have to do the old school O-ring trick, they call it, where you put in a tank O-ring and you just shove it into the little edges there, which will allow your tank to seal better. And it will allow your tank to seal farther out. So yeah, I'll just demonstrate this this point about about how this gun just simply does not function properly. So watch with the dry fire what happens. Notice how slow the bolt responds back. It's like slower than an autococker, right? So now I've got a reball here. Drop a reball in there, and just shoot this pillow here. Notice how much faster the bolt speed was on there, and how much crisper the sound was. It was a very pow instead of this kind of pwah pwah kind of thing. Here, I'll do it for you again. So this is the stock without a tapeworm, what an impulse does, and then this is with the paintball in it. It actually works properly then. So pretty much a typical Smart Parts gun in that you have to put money into it to get it to shoot right. It also has wicked rollback problems, which is still common in Smart Parts guns. The Shocker and the Lux still have rollback problems. That being said, it was a wildly popular gun. Lots of pro teams ended up shooting them, and it was the flagship gun. Even though it premiered at a mid-range price, it was the flagship gun for Smart Parts teams, which, again, exactly like the Shocker. Shocker was the same way. It was really a mid-range gun and a mid-range price tag, but it was considered their high-end gun until the Lux came around. So they also, you know, relating this to other Smart Parts guns, only a single reg instead of dual regs. The only gun Smart Parts ever made with dual regs was the Nerve, and it happened to be probably the best gun Smart Parts ever made. They should have listened. But the O-ring mod can make this kind of interesting. Yeah. Oh, there's the O-ring. Let's see if I can grab it for you. Where did I set it? Here it is. Yeah, so this is just literally a tank O-ring that you shove into the ASA, and that gets your ASA to seal. Otherwise it doesn't work. So, yeah, this one just has a non-stock board and a non-stock trigger, but other than that, it is literally a 2001 Impulse. Hope you enjoyed the show, and talk to you guys later.